Hello there, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Johnny Test, Fred Flintstone, and one of my personal favorites, Leonardo, and you are listening to Epic Tales from the Sewer. It's totally awesome, turtle power, go, go, go!
Strap into the party wagon and hold on to your pizza. The Last Ronin, Lost Days Special, written by Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz, with art by Kevin Eastman, inks page 1, 9, 17, 27, and 33. Art by Ben Bishop, pencils and inks pages 4 through 8, 12 through 16, 20 through 26, 30 through 32, 36 through 40. Isao and Isaac Escorza. Pencils and inks, page 2 through 3, 10 through 11, 18 through 19, 28 through 29, 34 through 35. Freddie E. Williams II. Pencils, page 1, 9, 17, 27, and 33. Colorist, Luis Antonio Delgado. Letterer, Sean Lee. The story so far. It's been more than a decade since Michelangelo avenged his fallen family and freed New York City from the clutches of the Shredder, Oroko Hiroto. While the city above has been rebuilding, April Jones O'Neil and her daughter, Casey Marie Jones, have focused on raising a new generation of Ninja Turtles, and for April, watching Moya, Odin, Uno, and Yi come into their own has brought back a lot of memories. Kevin Eastman art style. My name is April Jones O'Neil. I was once lost, now I'm found. Okay, I admit that's a bit overdramatic. It makes me sound all kinds of religious, but other than a few visits to Sunday school when I was a kid, religion, like any other man-made institution designed to control the masses, has never been my thing. We see she's writing in a journal. Then again, what do I know? I say man-made to point out that there are things that are not made or controlled by men. Mysterious wonders I've witnessed with my own senses that defy human explanation. Bizarre things that have made me a believer in something far greater and more powerful than I ever hoped to understand. And if anyone ever tells you they do understand, saint or sinner, scientist or priest, prince or politician, the only thing that you can be sure of is that they're lying through their teeth, to you and to themselves. And then again, what do I know? I'm just an old science nerd, grease jockey with a bad caffeine habit. We see her actually going down some steps of a ladder. Huh, more like a crotchety old woman on a soapbox. Chill, lady. Anyways, I'll save April's philosophy of the universe for later. For now, I'm just going to keep things down to earth and stick to my life in this city. New York City. Home sweet home. She's looking at a picture of her with Splinter, Casey, and the Turtles. Switch to the Escorza Brothers art style. I lived my entire life in the good old Big Apple. 6+ decades and counting. We see April's mom taking her there when she's young. We see the Twin Towers and the Empire State Building. As far back as I can remember, since the days of when it was just my mom and me together, I love this place. And that time I've seen it stand tall, and I've seen it fall. And much like a punch-drunk boxer who refuses to quit, I've watched it stagger its way back up to its feet, to stand proud and tall once again. We see that April has now gotten older, and that her mother's now aged. And now in its own strange way, New York has loved me back. April and Casey at a graveyard now, putting roses down on a grave. Years before I would lose my wonderful mom to cancer far too soon, the city made sure that I wouldn't be alone, giving me a new amazing family to share amazing life with. We see the Turtles in the shadows at the funeral, wearing trench coats and hats. Time and time again, we fought like hell to save this city that had brought us together. And after the years passed, just like New York, we would stand. We see the Turtles fighting on the Foot Clan and just cutting through them and just blood everywhere. And we would fall. And just like my city, my friends and I fought and bled. We all seemed lost for me. April, after the explosion, we show her she's in bad way. Looks like she's got a pipe stuck through her leg. And Fugitoy's decapitated head is next to her. Remember, she was pregnant, so now she's learning to walk again. You can see that she's got a pregnant belly. I found a way to get back on my feet and stand tall. And this crazy, mysterious metropolis made sure that I still had a home to return to. We see April now with a robotic hand, looking at some pictures and looking to feed Casey Marie Jones, who's a toddler at the time. And this crazy, mysterious metropolis made sure I still had a home to return to where I wouldn't be alone, and where I'm happy to say, all these years later, as she kisses Casey Marie, now it goes to Ben Bishop's art style. That hasn't changed. A now markedly older April O'Neil, with white hair instead of red, pouring herself some tea. Leave me alone, says Moya. Hey, what's with all the yelling this early, Moya? It's just, I found an old box of cool cassette tapes, and I'm trying to check them out, but Uno won't quit bothering me. It's not true, I'm not bothering her. I just wanted to do some kendo training, and she's the only one that can almost keep up with me. I thought your sensei canceled training for today. She did, Grandma, says Moya. Yeah, but that doesn't mean we still can't do it on our own, says Uno, sounding an awful lot like another Ninja Turtle with a blue mask. Tell you what, Darth Maul, instead of kendo, why don't you take the endless energy of yours and go do, 100 push-ups or something? Push-ups. Good idea! Thanks, Grandma. No problem, kiddo. Let's see what you got there. Ah, Devo, Thomas Dolby, Rush. Huh, looks like you found Donnie's old stash. You're playing all wrong. Okay, what's going on over here? I'm trying to teach Odin how to play chess, Grammy, but he keeps grabbing both knights and making them race each other. They're not racing, ye. They're doing gallops together. But galloping's not in the rules. They're supposed to be in a battle. She's not wrong, baby. The black and white pieces are opposite sides. But I don't want them to be on different sides, Grammy. It's more fun when they're friends, says Odin. I honestly can't argue with that, she says. You know what, Yi? The coffee maker's been on the fritz again. Why don't you go grab your tools and see if you can get it running for Grammy, right? Okay, I'll make it run even better than before, Grammy April, says Yi. Good girl. This looks ridiculous, says Casey Marie Jones. There's no way I'm going out like this. Dressed in kind of like a frocky gown. I'm calling the whole thing off. Why are you grinning at me like that? It's not fun, Mom. I'm sorry, but it kind of is, says April, looking at Casey Marie, who is just out of her element in a dress. I thought you said Jiro was taking you out on a casual date, not to the prom. I did. He is. I just have no clue what I'm supposed to wear, obviously. Come on, let's go see if I can reverse engineer this mess, says April. I thought Sensei looked nice for her hero. Jiro, dude. Sheesh, says Odin, and then corrected by Uno. Yeah, but Jiro's a policeman, Uno, so Odin's sort of right. He is kind of a hero. You're wasting your time, Mom. I ain't going. Yes, you are, Case. Quit being a baby, and quit overthinking things. I really don't think Jiro's the kind of guy who expects you to dress to impress him. What do you mean? She says to April. I mean, he asked you out after working with you on a couple security missions, right? Yeah, so? So he knows who and what you really are, so he obviously is already impressed. Look, your dad and I were about as different as two people could be, but that never stopped us from loving each other. We never pretended to be anything or anyone who we weren't, and I really believe that's why we always work so well together. This is just your first date with Jiro, hun. Who knows where things will go from here? But do yourself a favor and be yourself from the start, says April to Casey Marie. And always. How's that coffee maker going along, kiddo? Says to Yi. Almost done, Grammy April. It's gonna make your yucky coffee so hot. Okay, I think I'm ready now. There's my girl. Blue jeans, black boots, black leather jacket. Casey Marie looks herself. Wow, Sensei, you look pretty, says Odin. Thanks, Odin. You sure this is okay, Mom? I know today's your normal black market run. I can stay with the kids if you don't want to skip it, says Casey Marie, trying to get out of her date with Jiro. Forget it, Casey. I've got the rascals. You go be young, okay? Thanks, Mom. You bet, as she leaves. I miss Sensei Casey. Dude, she's been gone like 5 seconds, says Uno. Don't worry about her, Odin. Go grab your gear, all of you. We've got work to do. What work, Grammy? Says Yi. Black market work, kiddo. We've got an important run to make. But didn't you tell Sensei you were staying to watch us? Says Moya. Just a little white lie. I didn't want her to ruin her date. Now hustle up. We've got a big day ahead of us. Back to the Kevin Eastman art style. We see April taking a sip of coffee. Obviously it's coffee. Reading in her journal. But it was a big day. But before I get into that, let me tell you about New York's black market. Back to the Escorza Brothers style. The first thing to understand is the black market commerce is built on bartering. Bartering's been going on in our country since the very beginning, but what started out as goods for goods, or goods for services, or vice versa, became primarily a cash-based endeavor over time. Money ruled all, back to a picture of Oroku Hiroto in his tower. But when that fascist Oroku Hiroto and the Foot Clan took full control of New York City, see The Last Ronin, editorial. Currency exchange was replaced by an insanely strict digital-based social credit system. And it wasn't long before those of us in the resistance found buying and selling goods was near impossible. Turns out having your mind of your own and standing up to the man will kill your social credit score very fast. We show credit 0. Which meant the resistance had to turn to ulterior methods to get what we needed to survive. Pretty soon, social credits were replaced by good old-fashioned bartering, and the subterranean black market was born. And nobody was better at cornering that particular black market than Tinker Smith Sr. Like me, Smith was a single parent raising their only child, a daughter named Tinker Smith II, whom everyone called Tinker 2 in Rock Bottom. But while I was spending most of my time with my kid running an underground rebel shop army, the Smith was building a veritable shopping mall from the city's bowels. Yet even with all he had hoarded over the years, there were still things that he needed, usually stuff to please the daughter that he loved more than anything else, so there were always mutually beneficial deals to be made. We see you're looking and trading some eggs for some tech. Supply and demand at its finest. Sadly, the flood was caused when the resistance was able to knock out Baxter Stockman's tech on Roosevelt Island, which everyone calls the Foot Flood now, nearly destroyed Smith's black market compound, killing poor Tinker Sr., and leaving behind Tinker 2 to run what was left of his once massive store. Slightly insane Tinker 2, that is, who to this day holds some animosity towards me for her father's tragic death. Yet the black market goes on, and always Tinker 2 was our first stop. Now, above ground, we see the turtles who are walking with Grammy April. Okay, kids, here we are. Stay close to Grammy. Tinker 2's harmless, but a bit unpredictable. Why is she called Tinker 2, Grammy? Says Moya. Because her father was Tinker Smith Sr., Moya, which makes Tinker his junior, or his second. Oh, I get it. So I guess that means Sensei Casey's a junior too, huh? Yep, named her after her dad, but I wouldn't call her number 2 if I were you. You see what looks like the Technodrome in an eyeball. Who's there? It's me, Tinker. Who's me? Come on, I know you can see me. It's April. Wait, you said me, but I'm seeing us out there. Who's with you? Just my grandbabies. Moya scowls. Grandbabies? I gotta see this. As they open it up, we can see that there's various odds and ends. Turtles are definitely intrigued. Whoa, this place is gross, says Moya. Moya. Look at all this cool stuff, says Yi. Don't touch anything, Yi, unless you want the coolness crashing down on our heads. Grandkids, huh? What'd Casey Marie do, marry a lizard or what? Now white-haired Tinker 2, looking on. They're not lizards, Tinker. They're turtles. This is Odin, Yi, Moya, and Uno. Kids, this is Tinker 2. Uno, huh? I guess you can call me Tinker Dose. Ha! What? Was that funny? Says Moya. So not lizards, turtles. I'd ask the obvious question, but I'm pretty sure I figured out the answer already. I mean, everyone knows how much you like playing God, April, creating things and killing them. Come on, Tinker. The kids don't need to hear this. You know how sorry I am about what happened to your dad? Yeah, didn't mean for it to happen. Unfortunate casualties of war, blah, blah, blah. At least I still have the Grand Kingdom dear old Pop build before he came to collateral damage, eh? This is the coolest place in the world, says Yi. I couldn't agree more, kid. Boop, pops Yi on the nose. So, did you bring what I asked for? She says to April. Yep, got it right here. VHS, just as you requested. Oh, wow, I can't believe you actually had this. Whoa, Tommy boy? That's a good one, says Moya. Good. This is the best. Me and my dad, we used to watch it all the time before your grandma's stupid foot flood washed him and the only copy into the East River. Fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat. Whoa. Ixnay with the atfade, Tinker. That word's a little bit sensitive for Odin. So, wait. Who's calling you fat, fella? Sometimes Uno does, lifting up his mask to see his turtle face that he was hiding. Well, he's wrong, because you look like a cuddly tank to me. Tinky said I'm cuddly, Uno. Whatever, dude. Okay, Tinker, you got your movie. Let's move on to our trade. Yeah, as always in a hurry, I swear. I'm just letting you know now, this thing's pretty dang sensitive. Handle with care. At least more care than you handled the water pumps, says Tinker. Okay, deal done. Movie time. You want to stick around and watch it with me, kid? Yeah, says Moyo. No, we've still got more stops to make and not a lot of time to make them. Good doing business with you, Tinker. It's my job, right? Sitting down to watch the movie by herself, noticeably sad. Now, if you don't mind, I've got a classic flick to watch. All by myself. Eccentric as she can be, I almost hated to bail on her like that. Back to the Kevin Eastman art style. I mean, if anyone knows how much it sucks to be anyone underground, it's me. And how heartbreaking it is to lose a beloved parent too soon, for the matter of that. But I wasn't lying. The kids and I still had a lot to do that day, and the clock was ticking. We were going to have to hustle to get to our final destination and then back home before Casey returned from her date. I hadn't exactly asked Sensei Jones for permission to take her ninja students out on a field trip. Though, tough and independent my kid was when she was younger, she's turning into a seriously hyper-protective helicopter mom. We see a picture of her and the 4 turtles when they were younger, all of them there in their training outfits. It was a miracle that she even left her little turtles long enough to go on the date. The last thing I wanted was to have her stressing about them while she was finally taking some time out for herself. Of course, if I knew what was going to happen next, I might have rethought the whole outing from the start. Leave it to the Purple Dragons to throw a monkey wrench in the works. Back to the Escorza art style, we see the Purple Dragons getting beaten up by all 4 Ninja Turtles. And it really shouldn't be a surprise. The Purple Dragons have been a thorn in my family's side for as long as I can remember. Casey Jones joins the fray. Even before the Foot rose to power in the city, before the Shredder and Karai and Hiroto, the Dragons have been in the middle of everything, stirring things up, usually for the worst, but not always. Michelangelo bats one in the face with his nunchucks. After Raph was killed and the truce with the Foot died with him, Master Splinter knew it was only a matter of time before an all-out war for control of the city overtook the streets. Without a doubt, the Foot had the advantage in resources and overall numbers. So Splinter formed the Splinter Strikers, turning his small ninja clan into a genuine military-style cadre. We see the Purple Dragons are teaming up with the Turtle Brothers and Casey. A cadre that needed more street soldiers than there was going to be if there was any chance of matching the Foot clan. So Master Splinter knew this, and so did the thugs in charge of the Purple Dragons. Strange times make for strange bedfellows, the enemy of my enemy and all that jazz. But finally when Hiroto was defeated and the Foot clan fell, the unexpected alliance expectedly came to an end. The Purple Dragons returned to their old ways, and now, years later, they've a new, dangerous leader in charge. It's a man with a kind of a blonde mohawk, looks like a punk. And the kids and I were just about to find out. Okay, listen up. We're going to head above ground for a little bit, so masks on. I know this isn't your first time for all of you, but just follow my lead, and don't be scared. Okay, says Yi. No problem, says Moya. Let me guess. Not your first time? It's just... Nope, stop right there. You can tell me about it later when we have more time. Good thing is, now I know you little rascals can keep a secret, like the one what we're about to do today without getting your sensei's permission. Right, kids? Right, Grammy? You've been up here before, you'll know what to do. Expect, oop, as a gun gets pointed right in her head as she opens up the manhole cover. Looky what we got here. Bunch of sewer rats popping in for a surprise visit. Don't you mean popping up, Chachi? Easy, easy, we're just here for black market business. Scuzzball knows we're coming. Scuzzball ain't in charge no more. And these 4 don't look like rats to me, they look like slimy sewer brats. Ninjas. Hear that, Bonzo? What, Monarch? Looks like we got some ninjas visiting us. More like sneaking up on us. I heard about ninjas before. Word on the street is the Resistance had 'em fighting back on their side back in the day. Wait, we're not here to fight. We're here to barter, that's all. And we're just supposed to believe you? Probably more of 'em hiding in the sewer, I'll bet. Looks down into the hole, and one pops up. Yep, you're right. And it's Uno, who kicks him right in the face, knocking the gun out and then kicks him again. What the? Get him! Stop! He didn't! Uno! Odin run towards them, taking the other 2 out inadvertently just with the size of his mass, trying to save his brother. Stupid freaks, I'm gonna... But that's enough for Moya, who then jump kicks him right in the face, smashing his teeth. No. As one reaches for a shank, April steps on it. That's not how this was supposed to go, Uno, April says. No, it wasn't. But if it was, my guys wouldn't have been whooped by a bunch of ninja toddlers in a geriatric gimp. No offense, says the gentleman. He has a Purple Dragon's tattoo. He looks former military, shirtless, wearing a green military vest with an obvious sort of surgically altered arm that looks like it's got a bone in it, and it's red to the look. So almost like a mutagen man thing. There's a gentleman wearing a Mouser as a helmet, and next to him sort of a Cyclops or Weapon X Wolverine-looking helmet on a person behind him. You, says Moya. No, Moya, stand down. This just goes to show you can teach these mooks how to set up a proper security perimeter, but the whole soldierly discipline part, that's another story. Sorry, boss. You will be if you don't get out of my sight pronto. He's got looks like a cybernetic eye, too, that's red and black. Speaking of soldierly discipline, where's my manners? Name's Jigsaw, man. Just Jigsaw. April Jones O'Neill, I know. Yep, I know all about you, Miss Jones, and your daughter. If I don't know any better, I'd say you've been spying on us. Nothing that intrusive, man. Your reputation simply precedes you is all. And a good soldier takes his intel wherever he can get it. Gotta admit, though, these little ninjas are news to me, he says, looking at the turtles. But I do know there's precedent for such scrappers in this town. I guess it's true what they say. History repeats. You mentioned soldiering a lot. Ex-military? That, ma'am. 3 combat tours overseas before I was discharged. Honorably? Honorably enough for me, he looks on with a wry smile. Now, if you'd kindly follow along, I believe we have some friendly commerce to conduct. He uses his hand to open up a biometric scanner. Wow, look at this place. It's a lot cleaner than last time I saw it. Like I said, military discipline. And if a soldier can't keep his barracks squared away, how does he expect to keep himself that way? Or herself? Right, little warrior, says Tomoya. Whatever. I believe you've got something that we've been waiting for, yeah? Yeah, I've got the needle right here. So I'm guessing you're in charge of the dragons now and not Scuzzball. You would be guessing correctly, ma'am. We've had ourselves a special election recently. Scuzzball lost, he says, holding the needle. And now this little baby what you brought us, we can have a proper celebration. We're gonna blow our neighbors away, dragons. Looks like a needle for a old Victrola or a jukebox, as he's putting it in there. If I could just figure out how to attach this damn record needle. You're doing it wrong, says Yi. Let me show you. Well, clever little thing, ain't ya? Definitely some proper trading happening with you scrappers, I can tell. Look like we got what we wanted, ma'am, and a deal's a deal. Here you go. Best mind-blowing stuff on the streets right now, you believe me. And speaking of the streets, I suggest you keep up with your fine training you've been doing with those ninja babies of yours. Something tells me bartering ain't all that's gonna happen between us and a paths cross in the future, he says, handing her something. Yeah. Back to the Kevin Eastman art style. That was the not-so-veiled threat that I've always heard. Whoever this Jigsaw guy, just Jigsaw, is from wherever he came from, I'm guessing Texas because of his accent. He's definitely a new wild card to be taken seriously. The Purple Dragons have always been a threat, but the treaty had normally been a sloppy one. They've made their mark on the city for sure, and my friends and family lives too, but other than a few exceptions, a mark that's easily to overcome. But if this Jigsaw guy is able to add military structure and control to the mix, well, like I said, a wild card would need to be given serious attention to. Dead serious, she says, finishing her entry into the journal. Needless to say, I got the kids out of there as soon as I made the exchange with Jigsaw. He seemed focused on that jukebox at that point, so I took advantage of the diversion to Vamoose before things got out of hand again. One thing's certain, there's no way Jigsaw is going to let his soldiers forget this. They got their butts handed to them by a quartet of preteen ninjas. Speaking of it, maybe a biased grandmother, but our little turtles were awesome. Those were gangbangers, and he didn't even know what hit them. Nice job, Sensei. Mikey would be proud. Finishing up. Luckily, our next stop was in law enforcement, in a manner of speaking, back to the Escorza brothers style. Looks like 2 detectives who were standing there smoking, and one's drinking, next to a car. Let me tell you about Detective Richard Dick Miller and his longtime partner, Detective Frank Corbin. If ever there were poster boys for the term useful idiots, it would be these guys. Long before the days of Hiroko Hiroto's reign over New York City, these 2 so-called New York's finest were on the take. A lot younger than they are now, but just as corrupt. They were making serious bank shaking down citizens of every stripe. Crooks, creeps, store owners, fellow cops, you name it. They were equal opportunity grifters hiding behind a badge. And the very fact that they played both sides of the fence was the only thing that stopped my guys from taking them down. We show that as they're kind of glad-handing and doing a deal, the turtles look on at them. When you're in a war, you take your critical intel anywhere that you can get. Jigsaw was right about that. And a hard pill as it was to swallow, we knew Miller and Corbin, crooked as they were a treasure trove of street info. For a price, of course. Like I said, useful idiots. When Hiroto took over New York, like a lot of us, Miller and Corbin went underground. But when we formed the Resistance, those 2 took as security jobs as a subterranean speakeasy, and they kept a constant scam alive. New jobs, same old swindle. For 16 years, Hiroto and Baxter Stockman's Sinjas were the iron-booted version of the law enforcement for the city. They were gone after Michelangelo helped us take down Hiroto and Stockman. But with a power vacuum sure to follow Hiroto's fall, crime in the city was not going anywhere. So the first order of business was to reactivate the official police force, which also meant whether we liked it or not, we needed an experienced cops, good and or not so good, that we could find to help us get the police department up and running again. But it wasn't long before our old dear friends Detective Miller and Corbin answered the call. Their old grifties became a new grift, playing the side that they can, making themselves both criminally despicable and strategically indispensable. Back to the Ben Bishop art style. Drinking on the job, Detective Corbin? You think that's against department regulations? Yeah, you'd think, says the other one. This deja vu or what, Mrs. Jones? You slinking around in the shadows with 4 mystery friends in tow? A lot smaller this time, though. Your breath reeks, dude. Uno, manners. Well, it does. These friends are my grandkids, says April. They're spending some time with me today while Casey Marie is busy with other business. Grandkids? Don't ask, don't tell, partner. We already know about your kid's other business, a hot date with Officer Jiro Wantabi, right? How did you... Ain't much that gets by us on these streets, Mrs. Jones, you know that. As Yee coughs as one of them blows smoke from a cigarette into his face. Smoke bothering you, twerp? Smoking's bad for you. Better toughen up, kid. The whole city's bad for you. Speaking of the city, you remember a scumbag named Joe Hades? Yeah, unfortunately I do. Old mob boss from my late friends and I banged heads with more than once, before the Foot Clan took him down and his crew. Why? Well, word's out that he's not so down anymore. Matter of fact, he's back in the city and looking to get his hand on his old operations and get it up and running again. We just left the Purple Dragons. They've got a new guy in charge trying to do the same thing. Yeah, we know Jigsaw. Punk's a threat, sure, but he's no Joe Hades, and the Dragons ain't a mafia. That's not by a long shot. Okay, no more freebies, partner. Where's our stash, Mrs. Jones? Yep, supposed to be the best in town, as he opens up a box of donuts, powdered donuts. We'll be the judges of that, and wait a sec, this ain't right. Nothing but powdered in here. Where's the chocolate glaze I asked for? Don't ask me. You're getting what I got. Now, the kids and I are on the clock, so... Yeah, partner, on it. Word of advice. Keep the contents away from open flames and sparks until you're ready to use them. And whatever you do, don't ask where we got them. It says O'Neill on it in a post-it note. Hands it to him. You should know by now, Detective Miller. I never do. I thought the police were supposed to be heroes. That's what Yee said Moya. That's what I thought. But those yucky men weren't heroes. They were... An unfortunate necessity, kiddo. I don't expect you to understand right now, but someday you will. And all I need to know is that cops are human. Some are good, some not so much. All I know is those old dudes needed a breath mint, not donuts, says Uno. Chocolate, says Odin, who may have actually eaten all the chocolate donuts. Heroes, back to Kevin Eastman art style. They come far and far between, but somehow in my long, strange, blessed life, I've always been surrounded by them. My wonderful mom, the love of my life, Casey Jones, Master Splinter, and the Turtles. The brothers and father I never had, my baby and my grandbabies. Always there for me, always around me, always protecting me, always. And the main reason I couldn't skip the black market run today, even if that meant bringing my grandkids out into the big, scary, beautiful city for the first time. You guessed it, heroes. Back to the Escorza style. When Baxter Stockman destroyed our headquarters with his Mauser bombs way back when, it was the surviving Splinter Strikers who dug me out of the rubble and saved my life. And as I was soon to learn in the hospital, the life of my unborn baby as well. We see a doctor who's kind of leaning over. Could be a doctor. It's a man with a beard leaning over her. And throughout my recovery, one person was always there, lifting me up, cheering me on. Commander Avalone. Former Marine and former New York City cop, Commander Avalone left a comfortable and hard-earned retirement to be one of the first to join Splinter Strikers. Even before Hiroto brought the dark times, the New York Commander Avalone knew was the worst threats to the city were. You see he's tied up some purple dragons. And who its best defenders were, showing him with the turtles. And when those dark times did arrive, it was Commander Avalone who helped me turn what was left of Splinter Strikers into the rock-bottom resistance. We see a toddler, Casey Marie Jones, in the back as they're doing strategy in a meeting, a markedly younger April. In time, the resistance grew, as did our responsibilities as its leaders. But one thing never changed. Commander Avalone was always loyally by my side, as he grazed in the beard and hair a little bit. Ally, mentor, friend, hero. Now we see him and he's got a completely gray beard. Back to the Ben Bishop art style. There you are! I was starting to worry you weren't gonna make it! Sorry we're late, Commander. There's no way in the world I'd miss this. But my +1 had to be changed up a bit last second. I see. Looks like a +4 made it. Little ninjas I heard so much about. Sergeant Uno reporting for duty, sir. A ninja and a soldier. Color me impressed. Well, come on in. We see that there's a party going on with some red balloons, and it says on the TV screen, "Happy retirement, Commander. The party's just getting started." They got way cooler stuff here than even Tinker 2 had. Look at all the food, says Odin. Sergeant Uno, seriously, says Moya. Whatever, says Uno. And here's the man of the hour and his lovely wife. Look who's come to see you take up full command of the resistance, Commander Zarazaga. Ha! Pretty sure they're here to celebrate your retirement, sir. Hi, April. Oh, wow, these must be Casey Marie's little turtle ninjas. Yep, guilty as charged, as Uno salutes again. Allow me to introduce Uno, Moya, Odin, and Yi. We've heard so much about you kids and from your proud grandmother and mama. Feels like I already know you, she says. Do you know I like to fix things? Says Yi. I sure do, just like me, except I fix people. I'm Lieutenant Ziragaga, but everyone calls me Doc. Speaking of which, Casey Marie. What's she up to today? On a date with Officer Wantabi, if you can believe it. About darn time. Roger that. I don't think that's such a good idea, big guy. April takes a drink and looks on. But I'm really thirsty. I hear you, but that bowl's full of special punch for the grown-ups, says one of the resistance fighters. That's okay, I'm almost 13 now. Okay, kiddo, why don't we take the good sergeant's advice and get from your other punch bowl? Okay, Grammy April, says Odin as she dumps the ladle of spiked punch back in. Thanks, Mrs. Jones. Check him out. Little dude's already done 25 pull-ups. He hasn't even broken a sweat. Hold on. Can turtles even sweat? Says two of the resistance people as they're watching him. He's trying to impress everybody. Wait till you see how many push-ups I can do. You look like you're jamming out, says one of them. What do you got on your deck, kid? It's 9 Inch Nails and Joy Division mixtape. Classic. Well, looks like the young warriors are having some fun together. Be nice if that's all they ever had to worry about. Having fun. Speaking of, what are your plans for retirement, Commander? Nothing specific other than lots of reading and lots of slipper wearing. I'm sick to death of combat boots. How about you? Seems like your daughter's got a good grip on all the ninja stuff. Be good time for you to slow down too. Maybe, but being a grandma keeps me hoping most days, so I'm not sure if slowing down is an option yet. I have thought about doing some writing, though. Maybe just a journal to start to see where it goes. But first, I'm going to send you off with a bang, my friend. As we see, the package that she had gotten from the Purple Dragons is actually an assortment of fireworks. A lost day. That's what my husband used to call days like this today. Days when we could step away from all the craziness and violence that seemed to constantly surround us. We see that Jiro and Casey Marie are on their date walking with coffees. Days when we could step away from all the craziness and violence that seemed to constantly surround us and just get lost in each other. So, you think we can do this again, Casey? I mean, hang out? To be normal for a little while. I really like that, Jiro. Me too, he says, to be happy. I miss my beloved husband so much. Check it out. Whoa, it's crazy beautiful. But I know he's looking down on me, and he sees that I've kept our tradition alive for our family. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, as they say, looking up at the fireworks. And then we see the turtles in April watching. Looks like Uno is throwing out the fireworks, and just they're kind of enjoying it, and everybody kind of sees it. April's standing there, and everybody's smiling, because today was definitely a lost day, the very best kind. And that's the end of the Lost Day special.
Hi, this is Francois Chow. I am the Shredder from Secret of the Ooze. And it's been a pleasure for me to talk to Justin and Eric on Epic Tales from the Sewers. It's been great, guys.
It's pizza time.
And now, in a segment that we call Pizza Time, where we discuss any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or pizza-related food, I give you Pizza Time. And now, your pizza of the day, the Everything Bagel Pizza. Active about 35 minutes, total about 1 hour, serves 4 to 6 people. Ingredients: 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 1 shallot finely chopped, 3 cloves of garlic, 2 finely chopped, 1 grated, freshly ground black pepper, 2 tablespoons sesame seeds, 1 tablespoon poppy seeds, 2 tablespoons coarse sea salt, 1 1/2 teaspoons caraway seeds, coarse cornmeal for dusting, 1 pound pizza dough at room temperature, store-bought or homemade, 1 1/3 cup ricotta cheese, 1/4 cup grated Parmesan cheese, 1/4 teaspoon chopped fresh oregano or rosemary, pinch of red pepper flakes, kosher salt, and 2 ounces of fresh mozzarella thinly sliced. Step 1. Place a pizza stone or inverted baking sheet on the lowest oven rack and preheat to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Step 2. Heat 1 tablespoon of olive oil in a small skillet over medium heat. Add the shallot and chopped garlic and cook, stirring often until softened but not browned, about 3 to 5 minutes. Season with pepper and transfer to a bowl to cool. Step 3. Combine the sesame seeds, poppy seeds, coarse salt, and caraway seed in a small bowl. Sprinkle a sheet of parchment paper with cornmeal, stretching the pizza dough onto the parchment into a 12-inch round, pressing your fingertips. Spread the shallot mixture around the edge of the dough and the top of the seed mixture. Step 4. Combine the ricotta, Parmesan, and the remaining 2 tablespoons of olive oil, the grated garlic, oregano, red pepper flakes in a bowl. Season with kosher salt. Spread the ricotta mixture on the middle of the dough and top with mozzarella. Step 5. Slide the parchment onto a pizza peel or another inverted baking sheet. Then slide the pizza on the parchment onto the hot stone. Bake until the crust is puffed and browned and the cheese is golden in spots, about 13 to 15 minutes. Pro tips, you can mix your own everything seasoning as the recipe directs you, or you can buy a bottle of pre-made seasoning. When stretching the pizza dough, lightly oil your hands if the dough is too sticky. And if you want to add veggies, top the pie with cooked broccoli before adding the mozzarella. And that is your pizza time of the day, the Everything Bagel Pizza.
Cowabunga, dudes!
Thank you for listening to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. This podcast has no affiliation with Eastman, Laird, Mirage Studios, IDW Studios, Archie Comics, or Nickelodeon Studios. This podcast is a member of the Dorkening Podcast Network. Check out thedorkening.com for other podcasts. Epic Tales from the Sewers is recorded by Justin Cooper and Eric Will.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games and movies to cartoons and even snacks and school lunches.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brick.
You can listen to Retro Redoctopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
It took me 10 years to make the perfect man cave.
And then we took it over, and we made it into the multiversal chamber.
Then I started my own podcast.
And we took that over too. And we're the co-hosts, the Multiverse Kids.
Yeah, and I'm the dad, the geeky dad. And every week, we what?
We review the movies, shows, and books, games, and toys.
Yeah, and sometimes we even have a special guest. So, join us every week on the Geeky Dad Podcast.
Hello, intrepid listeners. This is the Generation Playlist Podcast, a podcast about music where we are your guides through a particular group or artist.
We talk about the music, and then we make a customized playlist to share with you, our listeners. And you can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts and find our playlists on Spotify.